Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachade Shatarne Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchkalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, devotees, let us get into it again. We are in the 4th volume of Srila Prabhupada, lilamrita, and we're in chapter 30. And we are at John Lennon's place. Okay, John Lennon's place. Right. And Prabhupada, the devotees forgot to jump in the car with him, and so the driver just drove off with Prabhupada. Fortunately, there were some devotees at John Lennon's place, otherwise it would have been problematic. So they greeted Prabhupada, and Prabhupada settled in. So, okay. When George, John, and Yoko dropped by after Prabhupada's lunch, Shamsunda invited them to come up and meet Prabhupada. George turned to John and said, "Do you want to go up?" The bearded, bespectacled master of Tittenhurst, hair down to his shoulders, assented. Yoko also was curious, so up they all went to Prabhupada's little room. Smiling graciously from behind his desk, Prabhupada asked his guests to enter and be seated. Here were 2 of the most famous people in England, or in the world, and Krishna wanted him to speak to them. Prabhupada removed his garland and handed it to Shamsunda, indicating that he should put it around George's neck. "Thank you," said George. "Hare Krishna." Prabhupada smiled. "This is Krishna's blessing." "Hare Krishna," George replied again. "Yes," Prabhupada said, "there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Yad yad acharti shrestas tat tat eve turojana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. The idea is that anything which is accepted by the leading persons, ordinary persons follow them. Yad yad acharati shrestha. Shrestha means leading persons. Acharati means act. Whatever leading persons act, people in general follow them. If the leading person says it's nice, then it is all right. The others also accept it. So by the grace of God, Krishna, you are leaders. Thousands of young men follow you. They like you. So if you give them something actually nice, the face of the world will change." So, yeah, I mean, of course, that principle is there in Bhagavad Gita. We all know about it. It's so prominent and important. But just in general, you know, the Beatles, before the Beatles, the top person, the top, was Elvis Presley. And I was an Elvis Presley fan. I don't know about any of you. Because, yeah, when I was young, I was like 10, 11. The Beatles came out, I think I was, what was I, 12 probably. But so just before that, Elvis. And the Beatles came out, and they were the first people, the first men, young men, for I don't know how long, probably in Western society, like couple of 100 years or something, who had long hair. Yeah. Although they didn't have very long hair, but I mean, it was long. It was a lot longer than normal. The Rolling Stones had much longer hair. And then, you know, then it sort of went wild. But the Beatles, were so incredibly prominent. And after about a year, 2 years, if you're a young man and you didn't have long hair, there was something extremely wrong with you. You were definitely not cool at all. And it's that principle. It's that principle, yeah? So Prabhupada's onto them. Although George and John were about the same age as most of Prabhupada's disciples, Prabhupada considered them shreshtas, respected leaders. You're also anxious to bring some peace in the world, Prabhupada continued. I've read sometimes your statement. You are anxious also. Everyone is. Every saintly person should be anxious to bring in peace in the world. But we must know the process. He explained the peace formula according to Bhagavad Gita. Only those who recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the proprietor of everything, the object of all sacrifices, and the friend of everyone can find peace. Prabhupada then told the two Beatles even more directly what he had already hinted at. They should learn Krishna consciousness and help teach it to the world. I request you to at least understand this philosophy to your best knowledge, he said. If you think it is nice, pick it up. You're also willing to give something to the world, so try this. You've read our books, this Bhagavad Gita as it is? John, I've read bits of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know which version it is. There's so many different translations. Prabhupada, there are different translations. Therefore, I've given this edition, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada explained that the material world is a place of misery. Nature is cruel. In America, President Kennedy was thought to be the most fortunate, happy man, honored throughout the world. But within a second, Prabhupada loudly snapped his fingers. He was finished, temporary. Now what is his position? Where is he? If life is eternal, if the living entity is eternal, where is he gone? What is he doing? Is he happy or is he distressed? He is born in America or China. Nobody can say. But it is a fact that as living entity, he is eternal. He is existing. Prabhupada explained the transmigration of the soul. Then again he requested, try to understand it, and if it is nice, you take it up. You're after something very nice. Is my proposal unreasonable? The two beetles glanced at one another but didn't answer. Prabhupada gave a soft, amused laugh. You're all intelligent boys. Try to understand it. Prabhupada spoke of the importance of music in the Vedas. The Samaveda, he said, is full of music. Followers of the Samaveda are always in music. Through musical vibration, they're approaching the Supreme. He then sang slowly 3 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Matirna Krishne Paratasvato va, mito bipadyeta grihavratanam, adantago bia vishatam tamisran, punah punascharavita charavananam, natevidu swarta gatim hi vishnum, durashaya ye bahir artamanina, andatyatandir upaniyamanas, te pishatantriyam, urudamni badha, naishammatis tavad urukramangrim, sprishatyanarto pagamoyadarta, mahiya sampada rajobhishekam, nishkinchananam, navranita yavat. Then Prabhupada asked his guests what philosophy they were following. Following? John asked. We don't follow anything, Yoko said. We're just living. We've done meditation, said George. Or I do my meditation, mantra meditation. They began to ask questions. The same questions Prabhupada had heard so many times before. After hearing Prabhupada's explanation of Brahman, the all-pervading spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yoko doubted whether Brahman could remain pure and not deteriorate in time. Prabhupada advised that she would have to become a serious student before she could actually understand spiritual philosophy. John and Yoko, being devoted eclectics. You know what eclectic means? You do? Okay. Eclectic? No problem. Eclectic means people who are interested in all sorts of things. I mean, almost everything, but in spiritual eclectics means they are interested in all the Krishna consciousness and Islam and Christianity and meditation and yoga, and those are eclectics. So, okay, yeah. So they had difficulty accepting Prabhupada's concept of Vedic authority. John, we still have to keep sifting through, like through sand, to see who's got the best. Prabhupada, no. One thing you try to understand, why these people, if Krishna is not the supreme authority, why they're taking Krishna's book and translating? Why don't you try to understand? Wow. Prabhupada's really on their case. George, I'm not saying Krishna isn't the supreme. I believe that. There's a misunderstanding about the translation of the Sanskrit Gita into English. And I was saying that there are many versions. And I think we thought you were trying to say your version, your translation was the authority, and that the other translations were not. But we didn't really have misunderstanding as to the identity of Krishna. Okay. Prabhupada, that's all right. If you believe Krishna is the Supreme Lord, if that is your version, then you have to see who is most addicted to Krishna. These people are 24 hours chanting Krishna, and another person who is not a single word Krishna, how can he become a devotee of Krishna? How can he, who does not utter even the name of Krishna, become a representative of Krishna? If Krishna's authority and that is accepted, therefore those who are directly addicted to Krishna, they're authorities. After more than an hour of conversation, Prabhupada distributed some prasadam to John, George, Yoko, and the few disciples in his room. If these Shrestas were to take up Krishna consciousness, that would be good for them and many others also. He had done his duty and provided them the opportunity. It was Krishna's message, and to accept it or not was up to them. John said he had something to do and he excused himself. As everyone was leaving, Yoko, walking down the stairs, turned to John and said, "Look at how simply he's living. Could you live like that?" In the evening, Prabhupada sat with the three couples, Shamsundar and Malati, Gurudas and Yamuna, and Mukunda and Janaki. After a year's separation, they were happily with Prabhupada, and he was happy to be with them. The love they shared and their mutual satisfaction at being together was based on a unifying desire to establish Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement in this important city. Now that Prabhupada had come to London, work would not slacken. It would increase under his expert guidance. Prabhupada would daily instruct the men on organizing more London preaching, and they could report to him as necessary. The women could also directly serve him, cleaning his quarters, washing and ironing his laundry, and cooking his meals. No one can afford a house like this in England anymore, Prabhupada said. England has gone down. Now these young boys own a place like this, and we are here. Prabhupada, Shamsundar spoke up. Our record sold 50,000 copies yesterday. Oh, Prabhupada's eyes widened. Very big business. Prabhupada said that their money and energy should go toward opening the temple in the city. Now they were living comfortably on this aristocratic estate in the suburbs, and certainly they should try to involve these important celebrities in Krishna consciousness as far as possible. But the main business should be to open a temple in the city. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had preferred to establish temples in the cities where the people were. Of course, if John could give this place to Krishna, and if the devotees could maintain cows and cultivate the land, as in New Vrindavan, then that would be a different matter, but they would have to see what Krishna desired. Prabhupada was sorry that some of his disciples were obliged to work full-time renovating the estate in exchange for their stay. Brahmins and Vaishnavas, he said, had the serious work of cultivating spiritual knowledge and teaching it to others, and they deserved the respect and support of the rest of society. The arrangement at Tittenhurst seemed more business than charity, but they should tolerate it as a temporary situation. Prabhupada talked with Shamsundar, Mukunda, and Gurudas about their struggle to get housing permits and renovate the temple downtown. Shamsundar had been right, Prabhupada said, to begin renovating the temple. Krishna would protect their investment. When Prabhupada learned they had secured a series of public lectures that would commit him to 3 months in London, he smiled. He would be glad to stay and preach in England, he said, for as long as it took to open the London centre. Prabhupada commended his 6 London pioneers on succeeding, whereas sannyasi godbrothers had failed. He told them that because they had chanted Hare Krishna with faith, they had succeeded. They were not great scholars or renunciants, yet they had faith in the holy name and the order of their spiritual master. Prabhupada said that he also was not a great scholar, but that he had staunch faith, the real requirement for spiritual success. A devotee could go many places and accomplish many things, Prabhupada said, but unless he was free of material motives, he would not be able to implant the seed of bhakti into the hearts of others. Prabhupada cited Shivananda. Prabhupada. Shivananda is one of Prabhupada's disciples. Yeah, Shivananda. Who had gone alone to Hamburg and tried his best with faith in his spiritual master. Now Krishna was blessing Shivananda with a little success. A storefront temple, newly recruited devotees, an interested professor, and other guests coming and chanting. Even one lone preacher could accomplish many things for Krishna, provided the preacher was free from sense gratification and the desire for profit, adoration, and distinction. I'll just do another few minutes. 5 minutes? Something. Srila Prabhupada rose early, about 1 a.m., and began dictating his latest book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, begun in Los Angeles 8 months before, was a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam's 10th canto. Starting in 1959 with the first canto, Prabhupada had been translating each successive verse, giving a Roman transliteration, Sanskrit-English synonyms, the English translation, excuse me, and then his commentary. Krishna, however, was all in English. With translation and commentary blended together as transcendental stories. In his verse-by-verse translation of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada was still working on the 3rd canto, so to reach the 10th canto could take many years, but he was uncertain how many years longer he would live, and the thought of passing away without giving the world an authorized, readable account of the 10th canto had been unbearable. Being the account of Lord Krishna's earthly pastimes, the 10th canto was the climax of Srimad Bhagavatam and the richest nectar of transcendental literature. Now Prabhupada had enough manuscript pages to print a first volume, complete with the many color illustrations he had commissioned his artists to paint. To print such a book would be expensive, and Prabhupada had no money, but he depended fully on Krishna and translated quickly in the quiet of early morning. At 4:30, Prabhupada's secretary Purushottam entered, followed by Yamuna Dasi. Purushottam offered arati to Prabhupada's small Radha Krishna deities, while Yamuna watched, eager to learn. Prabhupada sang prayers, accompanying himself on the harmonium. During Prabhupada's Mangal Arati ceremony, the other dozen or so disciples assembled for their own Mangal Arati at the temple. As they walked the damp pathway to the temple, they felt the cold air and heard the bell and Prabhupada singing. They could see through the pre-dawn mist the light coming from Prabhupada's room on the second floor, and the building looking like a lantern in the dark. The sound of the harmonium drifted mystically through the trees. Later that morning, some of the devotees brought Prabhupada several news articles about his London arrival. The Daily Sketch with its headline, "Enter His Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami," carried a foot-high photo of Prabhupada playing cartels. The Sun's story, "Happiness is Hare Krishna," appeared with a photo of Prabhupada and the devotees. And the Daily Mirror showed Saraswati and one of the adult devotees. The Daily Telegraph, however, carried a different kind of article. Hindu temple protests. Conversion of office premises in Bloomsbury into a Hindu temple is being investigated by the Ministry of Public Buildings and Works, the article began. The devotees' neighbors at Berry Place had apparently complained about the renovation that had been going on for the past 2 weeks. The article quoted a Camden Council member. If their planning application is not granted, it will cost them a lot of money. Prabhupada said the devotees should do everything they could to prevent delays or obstacles to their establishing the temple and installing deities of Radha and Krishna. He suggested they go daily into the city, work carefully and persistently with the officials, and secure the authorization. Meanwhile, Shamsundar should continue his remodeling work at Berry Place. For Prabhupada, such diplomatic and legal strategy was as spiritual as translating Krishna or singing before his deities. He was serious, heavy, and his disciples sensed this as he looked at them with full concentration, his intelligent gaze penetrating to see if they understood his directions. This heaviness of the Guru was an essential part of their relationship with him. They were young men, inexperienced, and he was sending them on a mature assignment that required both transcendental and worldly expertise. Serving as Prabhupada's menial messengers and workers, his disciples imbibed his gravity, and they too became heavy. They too became dedicated servants of their Guru. To bungle an important order because of naivety or carelessness would be a spiritual disqualification. Prabhupada had often told them, a Vaishnava is not a retired person who only sleeps and eats and chants Hare Krishna. Rather, a Vaishnava fights for Krishna, as did Arjuna and Hanuman. And as the devotee tries his best, working in full surrender, Krishna supports and protects him. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comment or question? Hare Krishna. Okay, Haribol, that's all.